What if the thing that makes you feel most alive, the spark that lights up your entire world, is the very thing your family tries to snuff out? And what if discovering a hidden family secret showed you that the people who raised you were untasked straightforward as they seemed? Would you rebel? Would you hide it? Or would you find a way to blend both worlds and create something entirely new? My name is Kara, and this is the story of how my secret love for magic collided with my family's strict world of science, and how one hidden diary changed everything I thought I knew about who I was and who I could become. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the community. You won't want to miss what happens next. It all started with a glass of milk. I was determined. No books, no boring stuff tonight. I'm going to make this milk take flight. I grabbed my sparkly magic wand and waved it dramatically over the glass. Abracadabra, I declared. Then I turned the glass over and splish-splash. The milk went everywhere. Just then, my mum walked in, her eyes wide. "Kara, what on earth have you done?" I had to think fast. Magic was a total no-no in our house, so I needed a super-duper excuse, and I needed it now. Today we learned about gravity in class, so I was doing a special experiment. It's science, you see. Mum looked at the milky mess on the floor and sighed. "Oh, Kara, let me help you clean this up. But next time, ask an adult for help, okay?" I put on my sweetest face. "Okay, Mummy." Phew, saved by science. But I promised myself tomorrow I was going to make that milk disappear for real. And maybe, just maybe, turn it into chocolate milk. That's how it always was. I was born to the most serious science teacher, Mum, and engineer dad you could imagine. While other kids got fairy tales at bedtime, I got quantum mechanics and bridge design. Cozy, right? So, when I started school at age 5, I was different. While my classmates played princesses and pirates, I was the kid asking why the sky changes color at sunset. During story time, while others giggled over fairy tales, I'd be the one explaining the logic behind rainbows. "Did you know rainbows are actually full circles?" I'd ask. They all thought I was weird for liking magnets more than video games. But as I got older, something started to shift. I found myself daydreaming about dragons while trying to focus on my math homework. I became caught between two worlds, the world of logic that I was taught and the world of magic that I secretly loved. It felt like I was living a double life. Little did I know, this was just the beginning. One afternoon, while looking for a ruler in my mum's office, I found something I wasn't supposed to see. Tucked away at the back of a drawer was a small, leather-bound book with a tarnished lock. It was a diary. My mom's diary. I knew I shouldn't. My logical brain screamed at me to put it back. But the part of me that believed in dragons and secret spells couldn't resist. My heart pounded as I picked the tiny lock with a paperclip. What I found inside those pages wasn't about science or reason. It was filled with sketches of mythical creatures, notes on ancient enchantments, and stories of a world I had only ever dreamed of. My mum, the logical scientist, had a secret life filled with magic. My entire world tilted on its axis. The woman who taught me about gravity had been hiding a world where things could fly without wings. Everything I thought I knew was a lie, but it was also the most exciting thing that had ever happened to me. Reading that diary changed my life forever. It was proof that I wasn't weird or broken. I was just like my mum. But it also opened up a million new questions. Why did she hide it? What else was she hiding? And if magic was real, what was I capable of? This discovery was my call to adventure, the first step on a journey to uncover my family's secrets and my own hidden powers. You know that story about how, when a baby is born, a fairy gets its wings? I used to tell my parents that all the time. Their response: focus on learning things that will actually help you in life. But it was too late. I was already obsessed with everything magical, especially magic tricks. My parents thought it was a total waste of time, so I had to practice my card tricks in secret. Then one day we got a new neighbor. And let me tell you, they didn't show up with a boring moving van. No, they rolled in with a giant glittering caravan pulled by 2 actual elephants. I'm not even kidding. The new neighbor was a man named Mr. Thompson, and he was nothing like anyone else in our quiet little town. His shirt shimmered with every single move. His pants were covered in sparkling sequins, and he wore a tall, pointed hat with a long feather sticking out of it. He looked super weird, I'll admit, but I loved how different he was. One night, as I was just about to fall asleep, I saw these flickering lights dancing across my ceiling. My heart started pounding like a drum. I crept out of bed, tiptoed over to the window, and peeked through a gap in the curtains. What I saw outside nearly made my heart stop. It was Mr. Thompson juggling flaming torches in his yard. And just when I thought it couldn't get any crazier, a dozen doves appeared out of thin air. They fluttered all around him for a moment before vanishing just as mysteriously as they had appeared. I was completely glued to the window, my mouth wide open in shock. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was totally hooked, completely mesmerized. I knew right then and there I had to find out more. So every single night after my parents tucked me into bed, I'd sneak a peek out my window, watching Mr. Thompson's private magic shows. Then one night, I got brave. I decided to sneak out and meet him while he was right in the middle of a trick. As quietly as I could, I crept across the lawn. "Mr. Thompson," I whispered, "how did you make the doves appear?" He spun around, his eyes wide with surprise. "Oh, caught me in the act, huh, little one?" he chuckled. "Those doves, well, it's all about a little sleight of hand and a whole lot of imagination." He gave me this mischievous grin, and then, with a flick of his wrist, he pulled a shiny gold coin from behind my ear, letting it glimmer in the moonlight. "It's about making the impossible seem possible," he said. Just then, the front door flew open and my parents stormed out. They looked furious. "We know you're a retired circus performer," my dad said, pointing a finger at Mr. Thompson, "but you don't have to be the clown of the neighborhood. Stay away from our daughter." They grabbed my arm and dragged me back inside. Once we were back in the house, I couldn't hold it in. "Why did you talk to Mr. Thompson like that?" "He's a really nice man." My mum sighed. "It's not about being nice. It's about setting boundaries. He's part of a world we just don't want you involved with, but I wanted to be part of his world. Magic made me feel alive in a way nothing else did." And then, as if by some strange twist of fate, something truly enchanting happened. When I was 8, my mum came home from the hospital with my new baby brother, Max. He looked like a tiny, cute pink troll, and I was absolutely over the moon. Finally, I had someone I could share all my secrets with. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of my magical journey. At night, I'd tell him stories I'd heard from school. And then the brave knight charged into the dragon's den, sword in hand, ready to rescue the villagers. As the years passed, Max and I grew closer. For his 5th birthday, I planned something truly magical. While my parents were asleep, I turned our backyard into an enchanted forest using Dad's camping gear, Halloween decorations, and stuffed animals borrowed from friends. I snuck Max outside in his pajamas. His eyes lit up as he explored it all. We enjoyed the most enchanting show under the stars. By morning, only a trail of glittering leaves remained. Dad looked super confused. "Glittering leaves, how did this happen?" I gave him my best science-serious face. Glittering leaves can result from the refraction of light through dewdrops on leaves. After that night, Max was obsessed with Mr. Thompson's magic shows, so I took him whenever I could. One night I told Mr. Thompson how much I loved magic but was kept from learning it by my parents. I asked if he could teach us secretly, and he instantly agreed. Soon, Max and I were sneaking into his workshop to learn tricks almost every night. Eventually, Mr. Thompson put a secret drawer in his tool shed right next to our hedge. We used it to hide all our practice props from our parents, who just didn't get it. When I was 16, it was time for Max's big moment at Show and Tell. But guess what Dad gave him? His boring rock collection. Just dull grey stones and a long speech on how they were formed. Seriously, Dad, his classmates will make fun of his boring speech. Yeah, Dad, can I bring something more fun? Like a can of beans or, I don't know, a roll of toilet paper. Don't be ridiculous, Max. This rock collection will impress your friends and your teacher, are more like bore them to sleep. I couldn't let Max face the embarrassment of Dad's boring rock collection. So on the day of his show and tell, I stuffed Max's magician outfit, a few playing cards, some double-sided tape, and springs into my book bag. During lunch, I snuck out to drop it off for him. "Kara, what if I mess it up?" he whispered. "But what if you don't? Believe in yourself, Max, and let the magic work for you." I decided to stay and support him. I knew how much it would mean to him, and my little brother nailed it. Chest puffed with pride, he stood in front of the class, a card floating between his hands. The kids were amazed, clapping and cheering, begging for an encore. He was a total rock star. For the record, that's us. 1, parents, still 0, but my victory lap was short-lived. When I got home that afternoon, my mum was waiting. "Kara, where were you this afternoon?" "At school," I said, trying to sound casual. "Oh really? Then who is this your doppelganger? Holy ravioli." She held up her phone, and there I was, caught red-handed, cheering like a maniac at the back of Max's class. How was I supposed to know they were recording the whole thing? "And look at Max," she continued, dressed like Dracula. "He's a magician, Dad, and he had a great time. I had to stand my ground, for me and for my little brother Max." But Dad just shook his head. "Kara, you know we don't do magic in this house." I couldn't believe it. But why? It's not hurting anyone. Magic only leads to disappointment. That was his final word. Mum agreed. "Kara, no magic, ever." As I stormed off to my room, I felt a fire light up inside me. I was more determined than ever to keep magic alive, not just for me, but for Max too. The very next day, I headed straight to the pet store, my plan already forming. Just as I was about to grab the handle, the door flew open, and a girl clutching a goldfish bowl crashed right into me. Water sloshed everywhere. "Sorry, I'm in such a rush. My goldfish is having an emergency." I blinked, a little stunned. "Yeah, it's okay. What's going on?" She looked frantic. "I was trying to get him some special food before we had to. Well, before our fish yoga class." I must have looked confused because I definitely said fish yoga. "It's a long story," she said, already backing away. "But I better dash before my fish's zen is completely wrecked." I watched completely amused as she dashed down the street. Shaking my head with a smile, I walked into the pet store, and that's when I saw him. The cutest, fluffiest hamster ever. I knew instantly he was the one. I named him Mr. Whiskers. He was going to be a surprise for Max, so I needed a place to hide him and train him. My friendly neighbor, Mr. Thompson, was the perfect person. I went straight to his house, hamster cage in hand. I knocked on the door and it swung open, but no one was there. Strange. Then I heard a muffled voice. "Help!" I looked down, and wait, was that her? Yes. It was the same girl from the pet store, twisted up like a human pretzel on the floor. "What are you doing here?" I asked, bewildered. "Before you ask any questions," she grunted, "can you please help me out of this?" I quickly untangled her limbs. She stood up, brushing herself off. "Thanks a bunch. I guess you're here to see my grandpa. He's at the supermarket right now." "Yep, I'm Kara, his neighbor. I'm Mystic," she said with a grin. As in the blue lady from X-Men, her eyes landed on the cage. "And who's this little guy?" This is Mr. Whiskers." Mystic leaned in close. "Hello, little guy." Then she looked at him very seriously and whispered, "Before you start doing any complex yoga poses, remember to stretch first." While we waited for her grandpa to get back, Mystic told me that she and her mum had just moved here. Her mum got an awesome job in town. Just then, Mr. Thompson walked in, his arms full of groceries. He looked surprised to see us. "Kara, you're here." "Yes," I said, holding up the cage. "I want to train Mr. Whiskers to do some tricks and keep him." "It's a surprise for Max." Mystic chimed in. "Of course, he can stay. He's my fish yoga instructor. He's practically an animal whisperer." Then she turned to me, her eyes sparkling. "I'd love to help. Meet me back here tomorrow after school." The next day was even more surprising. It turned out Mystic had enrolled in my school. We were striding down the hall together, feeling like a team, when the school bully decided to make his appearance. He swaggered over and sneered at Mystic's brightly colored clothes. "Well, well, well. Looks like the circus left a glow stick behind." Before I could even think of a comeback, Mystic's eyes lit up with mischief. "You know," she said in a low, mysterious voice, "very strange things happen in the circus." "The circus is in Townland. We're not leaving any time soon." Mystic and I burst out laughing as the bully scrambled to his feet, face flushed with embarrassment, and ran down the hallway like his pants were on fire. I turned to her, amazed. "How did you do that?" She just grinned and said, "A magician never reveals her tricks after school." I went over to Mr. Thompson's house. He was our eccentric, magic-loving neighbor. I told him my plan. "We've got a hamster to turn into a superstar." Over the next few weeks, Mystic, Mr. Thompson and I worked our magic on a little hamster we named Mr. Whiskers. We were training him to be a star. During that time, Mystic and I became inseparable besties. Not only did she teach me incredible new tricks, but she was also super smart. We were always having fun competitions, pushing each other to be better. It didn't take long before we became the top 2 students in our class. About 3 months later, Mr. Whiskers' training was finally done. I brought him home and gave him to my little brother, Max. I told my parents every little boy needs to learn responsibility. They were thrilled, seeing it as a great chance for Max to learn just that. Little did they know, Mr. Whiskers was so much more than just a pet. After our parents fell asleep each night, Max and I would sneak out to the abandoned house down the street. We'd put on secret magic shows for all the neighborhood kids. But I'd announce, "Let's give it up for Mr. Whiskers, the magic hamster." It was like our own secret club band. Let me tell you, it was epic. Mr. Whiskers became the neighborhood's little rock star. Life was absolutely amazing. Until one night, a kid's dog accidentally knocked over a lantern, and the whole house started to go up in flames. Kids screamed and ran everywhere while the adults, including our parents, rushed to the scene. As the flames roared, I knew Max and I were in huge, huge trouble. My mum was furious. "Kara," she said, "you not only endangered your brother, but all the other kids too. How could you be so reckless?" I shot back. "If you'd let us enjoy magic in the first place, we wouldn't have to sneak around." That was the wrong thing to say. My dad stepped in. You are grounded for a month and we're getting rid of Mr. Whiskers. That night, I slept in Max's room while he cried himself to sleep, holding the empty cage. I called Mystic the next day. "I can't believe my parents got rid of Mr. Whiskers," she asked. "Why do your parents hate magic so much?" "I don't care anymore," I told her. "Max hasn't spoken a single word since yesterday. They'll pay for this." And they did. 2 weeks later, my mum was hosting a huge party for her new boss. It was a really big deal for her career. They wanted everything to be absolutely perfect. My mum warned me, "This party is super important. Don't you dare ruin this for me." But Max had gone totally mute. He wasn't eating and was losing weight. My parents seemed to barely notice, too wrapped up in their party plans. If my mum thought I was just going to let this slide, she was seriously delulu. During the party, right when my mum was giving a toast, I strolled into the living room decked out in a full-on witch's costume, complete with fake warts and a crooked nose. I cackled. "Good evening, my pretties. I'm here to perform a special trick for you all. I'll make you all disappear, like my parents made my little brother's voice disappear." Before my mum or dad could even react, I started throwing smoke pellets onto the ground. The room filled with thick, harmless smoke, making the crowd cough and gasp as they scrambled for the door. I just stood there, laughing as they ran. "Run, my pretty." When the last person ran out, the smoke was gone, and Mum and Dad went berserk. "I am so sick and tired of this. I am sending you to boarding school." "Honey, don't you think that's a bit too much?" "Wait, my father was sticking up for me." "You can't send her away. You can't." We turned to see Max, tears streaming down his face, before he bolted into the kitchen. By the time we got there, he had disappeared. Luckily for us, our neighbor Mr. Thompson was outside and caught up with Max before he ran out of the yard. "Mr. Thompson, thank you." "No problem. I'd never heard my parents fight before, but that night they had a mega fight. This has gone too far. We have to consider the kids. We are the parents, and what we say goes." The next few days were eerily quiet. Max stayed in his room, and my parents barely talked to each other. I couldn't shake the guilt. It was all my fault. That weekend, I snuck out of the house and visited my friend Mystic. I made a huge mess. How do I fix it? Maybe you have to give up magic. I disagree. It was Mystic's mum. You can prove you've changed by joining me as an intern at the science center. At that point, I was desperate. The next day, Mystic's mum somehow managed to convince my parents to let me join the internship. I was pretty bummed. Science, seriously. But at least Mystic would be there too. But when we got to the science center and I saw what Mystic's mum did, my disappointment flipped to amazement. The place was packed with mind-blowing exhibits, and her job was to make them come alive with awesome holograms. She was a magic experience designer. You see, logic and magic can work together. Neither is better than the other. But how do I show this to my parents? Show them how magic and science can work together in useful ways. As Mystic's mum addressed the interns, she told us about the big competition coming up between science centers across the country, with a grand prize of $100,000. For the first time in ages, I felt super excited. I wanted to prove to myself that magic and reality could work together, and that I didn't have to choose one over the other. I dove into the internship. We chose a water theme for our project, and I thought I'd check Dad's old notes for some ideas. He had stored them in the attic from a project he did last year with his students. Where did Dad put those papers? Just as I found Dad's papers, a book tumbled to the floor. I picked it up and flipped it open. It was Mum's handwriting, a diary. A grin spread across my face. Could this have all the tea on Mum's life as a teen? I was about to dive in when my phone buzzed, snapping me out of my curiosity. It was Mystic. Ugh, timing. I glanced at the diary, my fingers itching to read just one entry. But nope, not today. I quickly messaged Mystic back, shoving the diary and Dad's papers into my bag. Any juicy secrets would have to wait. I had a competition to focus on. For the next few weeks, I barely had time to think about anything else. Every waking moment was spent perfecting our project with the team. But then, the night before the competition, it hit me. Mom's diary. I'd completely forgotten about it. I pulled it out, ready for some classic teenage drama. But what I read next made my head spin. Everyone laughs at us, and I hate it. Mum needs to find a real job, not this fortune teller nonsense. Yesterday, the kids at school said we're circus freaks. I'm so embarrassed. I just want a normal life. Entry after entry was almost the same. My grandma was a fortune teller and performed in circuses. As a teen, my mum was teased about it her entire life. She fought so hard to escape that world, studying like crazy to become the successful person she is today. A wave of guilt washed over me. I'd been so desperate for my parents to understand me, but I never once tried to understand them. I had acted like a total jerk. The next morning, I woke up determined to make things right. I ran to my parents' room, ready to apologize for everything. But when I opened the door, they weren't there. I checked my brother Max's room next. He was gone too. My heart sank. I pinned the competition flyer to the fridge, hoping, praying they'd see it and show up. I blinked back tears. Why couldn't they just be there for me, just this one time? Pull yourself together, Kara, I muttered. Today is competition day. Win first, cry later. I got dressed and drove to the competition with Mr. Thompson, Mystic, and her mum. When we arrived, the other interns were already waiting. Okay, team, I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. Let's win this. As we added the final touches to our display, I couldn't lie, was intimidated. Some of the other projects looked like they were ripped straight from a science magazine. It made me realize just how huge this was, and how much I truly wanted No Kneaded Dust to win. And finally, it was showtime. The lights dimmed, the room fell silent, and the judges leaned in. Mystic's mum hit the switch, and the space around us transformed. Glowing jellyfish drifted through the air, while a massive holographic squid swirled right above the judges' heads. As each creature swam by, we hit them with fun facts, explaining how this kind of interactive exhibit would captivate audiences and take learning to a whole new level, mixing science with a touch of tech magic. The presentation ended, the lights came up, and I heard a familiar voice shout, "Kara." I turned, and my heart leaped. It was Max, and my parents. They were all there, beaming. "You did great," Max yelled. I ran over and hugged him. "Thanks, buddy." My dad looked at me, his eyes full of pride. "What you guys did today, it's nothing short of amazing. We're so proud of you." My mum squeezed my arm. "And it was a lot more exciting than your dad's rock collection," she joked. "We're sorry, Kara," Dad said, "for everything." Seeing them there, finally understanding, was a bigger win than any trophy. Thanks for watching my story. If you've ever felt misunderstood, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. I should have listened. I read your diary about Grandma. You should have explained it to me. Tears welled up in my eyes as I hugged them both. I'm sorry for all the mess I caused. We promise to communicate better going forward. Thanks, Dad. Just then, the judge's announcement echoed through the room, and the winner is the Madison Science Center's holographic underwater world. We did it. The cheers were deafening, but all I could hear was the beat of my own heart, a drum roll of pure joy and relief. We'd won. Not just the competition, but something so much bigger. We'd found a way to bridge our two worlds to make science and magic dance together. After the competition, life took on a whole new kind of magic. Mystic, Max, and we were inseparable. We decided to start a TikTok account showcasing our unique blend of science-infused illusions. And you won't believe it, our parents actually joined in. We started teaching them magic tricks. And let me tell you, watching my dad try to master a card fan was one of the funniest things I have ever seen. It was clumsy, it was awkward, and it was absolutely perfect. The laughter we shared in those moments was a spell all its own, binding us closer than ever. Mystic's mum, who had a real knack for this stuff, became our unofficial manager. She started finding more competitions for us to enter, from local talent shows to national science fairs, and we nailed them all. Our act was different. It wasn't just pulling rabbits out of hats. It was explaining the physics behind the illusion, showing the wonder in the why. We decreate shimmering auroras in a jar using ionized gas and then tell the ancient myths people invented to explain them. We made water float in midair and then broke down the science of acoustic levitation. People were fascinated. By the time we hit college, things got even crazier. We started getting invites to international events, sharing stages with famous magicians and renowned scientists. We were becoming, well, kind of famous. Our little project had turned into a global phenomenon. We weren't just the kids who mixed science and magic anymore. We were innovators, storytellers, performers. We even started our own company, designing magical experiences and educational programs for schools, museums, and even big corporations. Imagine walking into your office on a Monday and being greeted by a miniature holographic dragon explaining quarterly earnings. How cool is that? We were making learning an adventure and making the impossible feel possible. Looking back, the journey was full of twists and turns, doubts and disagreements. But through it all, one thing became crystal clear. When you are truly passionate about something, when you pour your heart and soul into it, you have to work hard and always believe in yourself, even when it feels like no one else does. Even when the world tells you that your dreams are silly or that you have to choose one path. Trust me on this, success will find you. It will sparkle in ways you never, ever saw coming. It's not just about the grand prize or the fame. It's about the joy of creating, the bond of friendship, and the peace of being true to who you are. If you've ever felt torn between what your family expects and what your heart truly wants, like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to follow your own path, even if it looks a little different. Now, I have to ask you guys, what do you think? Can science and magic really coexist? Or do you have to choose one? Have you ever discovered a family secret that completely changed how you saw everything? Drop your thoughts, your own stories, and your predictions in the comments below. I promise I read every single one, and I love hearing from you. And hey, don't forget to hit that bell icon so you re-notified the moment the next story drops. You won't want to miss it. Thank you for staying with me through this magical journey today. See you soon.